Good morning, good afternoon, friends. This is Tracy Brown, your somatic nutrition therapist and attuned eating expert. And this week we are going to do a little series on unconscious eating. So this was done by reader request. So thank you so much for the folks last week who asked, when I asked, hey, what do y'all need some support around? And someone said, hey, unconscious eating, let's talk about it. So this week what we will discuss are a couple things is what does that actually mean? And what are we unconscious about? And then, of course, what are some tips, some strategies to understand that it has a function and eventually it can be choiceful versus it feeling out of control. So let's jump in and get started. In today's video, we're going to cover, well, what is unconscious eating? And I guess it depends on who you ask, but I would suggest that it's basically eating or not eating. So most of the time people think of unconscious eating as unconscious overeating, or maybe some people call it compulsive eating or emotional eating or whatever. I tend not to characterize it all that way, except for that if I would say unconscious overeating is eating and not knowing when enough is done, or not sure if there's actual biologic hunger there, or is it more, again, resonant hunger, which if you're doing any individual work with me or my groups, resonant hunger means we're eating based on what's happening in our defense strategy system. So fight, flight, freeze, or please, and the sensations that come with that. So that's a little bit of an offshoot. Or you could be doing unconscious undereating, which is the same principle, right? So I'm not eating, and I'm not eating based on other maybe sensations I'm feeling that feel too much. Instead of labeling it like, wow, I'm feeling a lot of restlessness or anxiousness or maybe shame, we're undereating based on that. So we're not conscious of like why we're not eating. We think it's just because of I must have eaten too much food, or I must have eaten the wrong food. That might be 100% untrue, but it doesn't matter. In that moment, if you're looking to get away from the sensation that you're experiencing that feels uncomfortable, our minds will label that whatever based on whatever food rules we have. So these are some of my working definitions of unconscious eating, whether beyond physical fullness comfort and beyond what's physiologically nourishing to our bodies, meaning like we're under eating and our bodies need some combination of protein, carbs, and fats or pleasure that we're not giving it, and we're not giving it because of food rules or other sensations we're not comfortable with having, right? So that's just as much unconscious eating as well. So those are some of the working definitions. And so the first step, if you're interested in going further, and I always talk about consent, when people ask me for support or education, some things I say, well, what would it be like for you to be more conscious? What would it be like to create a compassionate witness to, oh yeah, that transition from home to work, I'll be honest, it makes sense that I probably need some food here and I feel really full, so something isn't congruent. That would be the kind of level of work you would be doing to not be an unconscious under or overeater, and recognizing that we want to get to a place with some choicefulness for that. So we have our working definitions, and now we have consent. Do I want to be more curious? What would it be like if I were more curious and had a compassionate witness? Would that, is that something that I feel like I have the capacity for right now? And so those are all questions that we have to ask. And then, of course, we'll talk more about next steps on Wednesday and Friday's videos. But I will mention this comment before we wrap up here today is someone says, definitely been doing this work. Excellent. The next step is, are there parts of you that want to keep things unconscious? And if that's the case, then we want to be curious about that too. So I hope this helps you. So in Wednesday's video, we're going to talk a little bit more about if you have decided that you are giving yourself some permission to look at what is under the hood, so to speak, then what do we do with that? So we'll talk about that in Wednesday's video. I hope this one was grounding and nourishing for you. And if it was, please pass this along to your friends. These are, I think, challenging topics, and they're very nuanced. So these aren't gonna be the most popular videos you're gonna find on Facebook and on YouTube. So if you are a nuanced person and you're seeing your friends or family struggle with like, well, this is great and all, but what do I do with this? Then please pass these videos along. That way people can understand that there are other options and there are choices than just feel like this is all a free-for-all and be really petrified by it and not do anything about it. Or just go back to what they know, which is restricting and binging, basically. And I just want people to know there's other options too. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in Wednesday's video. Bye for now.